So with regards to corporate finance and the CFO focus, I mean, there are many areas which will still remain the focus areas for CFO regardless what emerging trends there will be in the future, and especially when we are talking about cost efficiency and asset management, net working capital and all the stuff. But of course, in the short past, there have been new businesses. When we are talking about digitalization, when we are talking about big data, when we are talking about smart cities, all these new business models, they of course require that also corporate finance will adjust and the processes will adjust. And we should not forget that when or while adjusting these corporate finance processes, we need to focus that we also generate some kind of customer value add. So especially in corporate finance area, we could think about the new financing models and opportunities. But of course, lately, almost in every conference now, all these buzzing words or these topics and themes, we are talking about RPA, robotics and next level automations. So, of course, these are the focus areas currently, because I think from the change management perspective, this is the train which is now passing by, and you either jump on the train or you will be left behind. Yeah, but what I would like to maybe say from another perspective a little bit, that there will be always some emerging trends or disruptive technologies, and from my perspective, the most important area you should focus on is that you have the proper culture and mindset in your organization for the change. So we are coming back also now to the new topic, which is change management and changeability. And this is, I think, where you have to focus as a manager, as a leader, mainly, or with the most and high intensity. Because if you have the proper mindset, if you have the change management culture and you have it in the DNA of your staff, then any emerging trend or new technology will be easy to implement, and most importantly, to sustain the change. And the change sustainability is, I think, the most important part of change management. Maybe at the beginning I would say that, there are these typical three phases of development of shared service centers. The first one, of course, it's about bundling and migrations and consolidating. The second one, it's more really about standardizing, harmonizing the procedures and processes to focus on the quality assurance and customer satisfaction. And then there is this third stage, which from my perspective is the most important, that we somehow move from the shared service center or service delivery model to the business partnering model. And this, of course, requires really innovative thinking and innovation. So not only doing the same processes and trying to continuously improve them, but to be really innovative, to bring innovations and revolutionary thoughts. Yeah, because I love this statement that the electric bulb was also not invented through the continuous improvement of a candle. So this approach we should implement while we are trying to achieve the next stage or next level. We are coming to the, let's say, change management basics. I mean, it's in general, it's very easy to talk about and say this is important, but it's much more difficult to live it. So we are basically talking about how can I ensure that the change which I'm trying to implement, I implement successfully, and the change will be sustainable. And it brings us, I strongly believe that if you have a proper vision, if you have long-term targets, and if you have these long-term targets broken down into annual improvement projects, then with the proper mindset you can achieve that. But what is the most critical factor from my perspective is to have a proper guiding team from your senior managers or key people. And this team should share, if not the same, but similar values. And if you do this properly, then you have a great guiding team and you can implement the change without any problems. The biggest threat is missing change advocacy. And the really biggest threat is if this missing advocacy is in your guiding team. Because of course when you create your guiding team, you try to do your best. You do profiling, you do the assessment, you try to really nominate those people who are fitting these profiles. But you know, in the life not everything is going like you plan. So the biggest threat is if you have this missing change advocacy in your guiding team. And you need to work with that somehow. You have to start with profiling and assessment, it's clear, and try really choose your guiding team very wisely. Don't make it very fast, take your time. But then if you have this kind of struggles or problems, then it's like with everything else. You need to try to understand the root cause. Because what sometimes happens that if you have a problem with one member of the guiding team, in terms of that you think she or he is missing this change advocacy, there might be some root causes or thoughts which actually are not represented only by this one person. And you should understand it, and you should openly communicate, you should clarify them, and you should avoid misinterpretations, because this is the biggest threat. So only open and trustfully communicate. If we are talking about the talents and your key people, then I think the easy part is the talent acquisition, although a lot of HR colleagues might disagree with me, but talent acquisition is the easy part. The talent development is the most important part. So basically, if you have your key people and you don't show your staff and your key people what is the target picture, what is the target operating model, and what is their role they will be playing in this future organization, then you have a problem. And so how to solve it? You need to have the proper performance process in place, you need to do the target setting, you need to do the target monitoring, but most importantly you need to take care of your people in terms of development planning. So you need to prepare the developments of your key staff, say okay, what is your target role, where do you stand today, what is your capability profile today, what is the future, what are the gaps, and how come together we can close it. And you should of course train them, develop them, coach them and mentor them. And if you do all this, then you mitigate it pretty well. I decided to come back because this is a really great opportunity for two things from my perspective, or the major areas. The first one is of course networking. You meet very interesting people from the same professional segments, but it's also about the best practice sharing. So we all do more or less the same or similar things, and in the ideal case you learn from the mistakes of the others, and if not, then you can meet the colleagues. They are facing the same challenges and problems, and you can share the information. How do they deal with that? How we deal with that? And exchange the information. And this is really very, very useful. I think the CFO Executive Boardroom is a great idea to have it like separately one day before the main conference, because you have the chance and you have the time to discuss with top executives these topics and these struggles you're having. And this gives you the opportunity to exchange more information in a closer participation circle. Yeah, and I mean, main conference is also great, but obviously because of the amount of people and amount of presentations and groups, you don't have such a good chance to elaborate in such a depth like we did yesterday in the CFO boardroom.